Time. The map. The dice. It's more than a linear path. It's an icosahedron of endless possibility, where a single choice can branch out into infinite stories, creating alternate worlds from the ones written. I am the DM. I'm your guide through these vast new stories. Follow me as we watch our HighRoll warriors.
So sadly, the file that held the actual fight is not here, so I have to narrate it. I also would have released this on Cursus, but then my throat got sore, so we're here today. And also a lot of procrastination. It is 3 months after Christmas. A lot of procrastination. The cold wind started to blow heavily as the 2 giants stood before our heroes. They stared at each other for a long while, letting their spiritual pressure build up in the area. Our adventurers didn't know who to fight. One was a horrifying Krampus, and the other was the legendary Santa. Finally, they attacked. Santa jumped at Krampus, pulling out a large scimitar with a red and white hilt, striking him across the face. Our adventurers, not knowing who to attack, they attacked both of them, each having their own idea of what they should do. While the giants slowly dwindled each other's health down, Jonathan was attacking Krampus, and most were on that boat, even if every once in a while they would attack Santa. Krampus, realizing who they were helping, called in his own little helpers. First, a few elves fell to the ground. They were all wearing twisted and terrifying wooden masks. The oak was so rugged that it could give you a splinter just by touching it. You couldn't see their eyes nor their face, but you could tell they were smiling wickedly. The tactics were as dirty as they constantly laughed at their foes, cackling insults. You couldn't see their eyes nor their face, but you could tell they were smiling wickedly. Their tactics were dirty as they constantly laughed at their foes, cackling insults that made their opponents have headaches, while their leader, with his low voice, could cause weak minds to hemorrhage. Krampus then summoned in a large jack-in-the-box that sprung out a terrifying clown. Its jagged teeth grew large with its own decrepit smile. Its face was cracked like porcelain, as its body was like a long accordion. Its body stretched like a boa constrictor as it twirled and contorted around Jonathan. As this was happening, Santa was conjuring ice spikes from the ground that stabbed into Krampus. But after Argus attacked Santa from behind, he realized that our adventurers were a neutral party. He blows on a large ram horn that creates a great booming sound. The sound of ringing bells flew throughout the skies as 12 reindeer landed from above, ruthlessly attacking Krampus's elves from below. Argus went into an angry rage as the back of a ride as he first went after Rudolph. Meanwhile, Shay wasn't sure who to attack. After all, Santa had bombed a village with single innocent children. The party was divided on who to attack. Argus was fighting Santa, Jonathan and Frothin were fighting Krampus, Aurora was too distracted by the elves to make a decision, and Shay was conflicted. Jonathan started yelling at Argus, shouting, "Why are you fighting Santa?" he yelled as the jester contorted more around him. "He blew up that village and enslaved the elves." Argus shouted back, "Yeah, but the elves told us to release Krampus in the first place." As the arguing grew on, Shay and Aurora interjected with their own beliefs. Soon the ideas would change, though, when Krampus cackled.
Yes. Fight.
They all looked at each other, realizing their usually in-sync fighting was now against each other for the first time, and unplanned. With Krampus starting to overpower Santa as his devious aura grew larger, Frotha knew what he had to do. He had to inspire them to fight together. So he played on his lyre a beautiful tone. Jonathan, hearing this, was able to cut through the jester. As it screamed in pain, Shay finally pulled themselves together and decided that he would talk to Santa after defeating Krampus. Aurora was finally able to defeat the elves and was able to help her team fight Krampus. Argus finally pulled it together and was finally convinced to fight Krampus after his disturbing words of feasting on their turmoil. After everyone pulled it together, they turned the tides of the battle. Santa healed them all with his joyous laughter and gave an inspiration to Argus, despite attacking him. Argus and Jonathan began chipping away at Krampus, while Santa did the big heaping amounts of damage. Jonathan slashed off the head of the jester, causing its head to roll down to its side as purple blood splurted out. It seemed to still be alive, but motionless. Krampus jumped into the air and landed onto the ground, sending a shockwave of energy that pushed them all to their feet. Within 10 feet of him, large black thorns grew from the ground. Argus and Jonathan were swept down by him as they were pushed back, but they got back up and started attacking Krampus again without volition. Krampus was weakened by their attacks. His backup was rendered useless, so Krampus went for another ground pound. He jumped into the air, but his hooves were grabbed, and he was pulled down into the spikes placed by himself and Santa. Krampus's black blood started spurting out everywhere. The wind started howling strongly as his corpse finally turned to dust. The only thing in its remains, one of his large black horns.
It's good that you finally found some sense. Considering he was out and you weren't supposed to be here, I can only assume that you were the ones that released him.
Yeah, so looks up over to Santa. He's like, well, yes, sir. We were the ones who opened it. We heard from the Grey Elves that this button would help freeing them from oppression, and that you were the center cause of all this. But I guess we should have done our homework a little bit more.
I was what? My elves work here gladly, and some even traveled to work here. But Grey Elves? That's what those villagers pose as to deceive newcomers.
Wait, why would they want to deceive?
That entire village, they worship him, Krampus, a disciple of Morak. They believe that they need to sacrifice to him. Those are what the newcomers are. But we don't have enough time for a history lesson. I foresaw them wanting to free Krampus. That's why I resorted to bombing them in the first place.
So, that entire village were devil worshippers?
It would seem so.
I have done a lot of wrong today without actually looking at the facts.
Don't worry, boy.
Sorry about the trouble we've caused.
Do not worry. You doing this was of good intentions. But
Why resort to murder? Ooh.
I had a feeling they would start getting eager to release their patron. And if they're eager enough to try that, then what will they do when it falls? I fear if they fail, they would attack my people directly. Showing them that I do not fear fighting against them was the only foreseeable solution. After decades, no, centuries, I'm trying to show them the light.
Well, why didn't they see that we're worshipping this, and he kind of looks at the horn. this would garnish them anything.
I do not understand it yet. All I know is that it was definitely not something good. This being came from. He's a worshipper of a being ancient, before me and before our time. But like I said, we don't have time for a history lesson.
Santa, I know we've done you wrong, but I do have a request.
And that would be?
Can we at least give them one more chance?
The last chance they have is of their children. I fear that the adults are too far gone, but the children, they can be saved. They can still be taken off the naughty list. But I will have to deal with the adults myself.
Well, can't we turn them into the proper authorities?
They have their connections. And there's also not really the authorities up here, besides me and my elves. And they're clever. If they are even in my city, they could probably find something to do to cause some sort of destruction.
Mm. And just kind of stand up. But aren't you supposed to be aren't you supposed to be an individual who rewards the good? And
Well, rewarding the good, but also sometimes punishing the bad. And the sins that they've committed, what they've done wrong, is years, centuries, a lifetime of coal deep down. But perhaps in their next life they could find something better. But peering into their souls, I know there's nothing that can change them now.
well, I don't really condone in the slaughter of the wicked. Mm. Jonathan gives Santa like a look him in the eyes, like, I really just don't want to see more people come to harm.
I don't find any joy in this either. But what must be done must be done. The least we could do is make sure that the children who've only been raised in this environment could at least find their way out. Leading a group of adventurers, Santa himself and his reindeer and sleigh walked to the village, almost as if to bide time for the villagers to save themselves. But finally they arrived. The entire village seemed to still be broken down, but not nearly as many people were on the ground. And most were walking around fixing things, but before Santa went down to handle what needed to be done, Frothin spoke up. The innkeep! What about her? She said she moved here not too long ago. Do you remember her name? Yeah. It was Nina, I think. And this is where Santa he proceeds to reach into his large red bag, seemingly searching for something as he rustles around what sounded like thousands of toys. He would finally pull out a large scroll of some sort. It had countless names written on it, before he quickly found Nina Ventura and her address. Yes, she is still on the nice list.
I can make sure she gets out of the city's limits before anything else happens.
I'll grab the kids, Shay added. Aurora, Frothin, will you help me? He asked. Shay asks, and with a nod, the three of them split off. Big guy, mind if I stay around with you? Argus asks Santa, looking up at the angry, get jolly and demeanor man. I do predict I will need some help. With that, finally they each set upon their missions. Shay, Aurora, and Frothin would round up the kids, and Jonathan would collect Nina, and Argus would assist Santa. Shay, Aurora, and Frothin first headed to the orphanage, and began bringing the children back to the sleigh, having to fight off the orphanage mother, who somehow put up a strong fight. But she was ultimately knocked out without the children's knowledge. They then moved on to the other kids that were just outside. They would even have to break into homes to take the kids. It was terrible. The poor children didn't know what was happening. The adventurers just had to have faith they would be traumatized while under Santa's care. As the screams of all the adults of the village began ringing out the entire village, Jonathan barged into the inn. You walk in and you kind of see Nina, like, she's behind the bar. She can hear everything that's happening, but she's trying to just ignore it. Just hopefully it doesn't get to her. And she's, like, putting plates away. Cups. Kind of with a blank face, like trying to not look scared. Dear goodness, you scared me.
Oh, I'm sorry to do that to you, ma'am. Jonathan kind of like puts his hand out. Don't worry, I'm here to take you out of this place. Jonathan kind of stumbles upon his words a little bit, not exactly feeling right as rain about the request he's been given, but he's more of. And he says, "Right now we're trying to clear out a bunch of bad guys. Oh, but I was sent to make sure you weren't crossed in the crossfire, ma'am."
I appreciate you. She, like, says, "Wait, do you think I have enough time to grab my things?"
How does she look? Like, is it like, by the face of it, Jonathan's probably been in those kind of situations, like with a family, like, hey, we gotta grab like the important stuff. Is it one of those, or?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. He kind of looks at her like, "I'll make sure you have enough time."
Alright, thank you. I'll be right back. And she kind of like.
Jonathan is
digs
also going to help
upstairs.
her make sure she has enough time.
Okay, yeah. Alright, yeah, so she I just need to go upstairs and grab a couple more things. She like rushes up, and I'm assuming you said you were gonna follow her so that you can help her?
Yes. Also keeping my eye out for anyone trying to impede the progress.
While you're doing that, she's kind of searching around her bedroom, which is a fairly nice bedroom actually. Very fluffy looking blankets, nice closet. It's small, but it's quaint. But she kind of rushes around, grabs this some luggage from underneath the bed, and starts shoving a bunch of stuff in there. You see her throw a couple photos, and like shirts and like clothes quickly, and then she says, "Alright, I think I have everything."
19.
19. It doesn't seem like anyone is coming near to halt anything that's going on.
Okay. And Jonathan kind of looks at her like, and hey, hopefully by the end of this, you can see your family after this.
Hopefully, I guess I haven't really visited them in a while.
Yeah, I should probably give them a little call up afterwards. As Jonathan kind of like helps carries the large luggage, since he has more of a bulky frame, so he could probably get it on a little faster and can get out the door easier.
But you go outside and see the running around of all the people yelling. They kind of realize what's happening now, that Santa is in their village and is directly rounding them up, so they're kind of running around. And she says, "It looks like the entire village is in a panic."
Kind of takes a second, like a solid stunned second, where he just looks around, seeing all the panic-stricken faces of people. He just thought, like, "Oh yeah, they're villagers. not hours before. Yeah, only the people who have done wrong should be afraid.
I suppose I shouldn't be worried
Hey, that's why I'm here. Kind of just gives like that like half cock smile, thumbs up. We're like, I'm here to make sure not a single hair on your head gets touched.
then. And this, I'm assuming, are you guys like running?
Yeah.
I suppose I'm just a little upset that I never got to check out the door that they never let me in. But that definitely doesn't matter now. Um,
Door? As like it's like a huff like door?
there was a door that I was never allowed in. I mean, I ran that entire place, but they never let me in. Like all the villagers kind of simultaneously agreed that I wasn't supposed to go in there. Never, for the life of me, got to see what was in there. I mean, it's always kind of smelled really bad, actually. So you guys get to the sleigh, right? And there's a bunch of children there that Shay, Aurora, and Frothin gathered up. They're a wee bit they're a wee bit scared, a little scared, but they're kind of Shay, Aurora, and Frothin. They're all kind of like making sure that they're calm. Frothin's playing some music.
All right, I got her. She's all safe. And it looks like we got all the children.
One, two, three, four. Yeah, we got all of them. And then Santa, his bag is a lot bigger all of a sudden. And he
I'm
says,
just gonna.
Well, the deed is done. Well, the deed is being done.
as you now realize that the entire village is silent. Shay and Aurora are talking in the background to the other kids, because I don't think what they're saying is intelligible, so it's good enough for me. You notice now that the village is silent. The only thing that you can hear is the burning crackling of the fires that you guys had left before, some of the wood breaking, and you notice that he has a different bag. He left his bag of toys in this. This seems to be a black bag that you actually saw Krampus have.
The
What?
deed is done. I will deal with these people later. And I'll deal with the kids as
What did
well.
you do with them? And what's gonna happen with the kids?
He kind of waves his hand so that the kids don't have to hear anything. He waves his hand. There's some magic that happens.
I don't know what I'll do with these people yet. Maybe I'll try my hand at helping them more, but I don't want them to have their supplies to all their worship, all their books. The way that they can further power this demonic being. So maybe they have some more. I don't want to dispose of them yet. I still want to believe that we can help them. The kids, however,
I
they'll be in the orphanage ran by Mrs. Claus. She'll be taking care of them.
um. Well, if may interject, if I could help, maybe help sway their fates, I would happily do whatever I can to help. Um, I know at least in my hometown, some of these kids could maybe come over there. I know some farm hands and people who were not blessed with children.
That I could work. But I fear that the only way that I can truly convince them is through some sort of magic. Which is why I don't think it'll work. I'm not really particular in using magic to convince people to do things. It's not the best of ways to solve a problem. So hopefully, through discipline, they can learn. But yes, you can help with the kids. Some of them are young enough to maybe, hopefully, never remember this incident. Some of them are just the teenagers who will probably stay at the orphanage until the adults that can go on their own.
Yeah, but we can't be just putting them in an orphanage, letting this stuff fester.
It won't. It won't. It. Hopefully, it won't. My wife is good with taking care of people. Hopefully, she'll be able to let the older ones know what this town was doing, so at least they know that it wasn't of pure hate and negative intention from me. Maybe they'll have to grow up angry with me because of what happened to their parents, but if they at least know that this happened because it needed to be, then I suppose for once I'll be okay with someone not believing.
And of the search for potentially other dangerous objects,
Do you mean
he said that.
the horn?
Yeah, what are you gonna do with the horn and the other items they possessed?
The horn? Well, you guys are the ones who did the final blow to him. So, this could be yours. To guard or dispose of. There are other relics, their books, their staffs. I will deal with in my own ways. I will try and enchant them so that their magic can go to better use.
Just kind of looks after getting in a pretty decent answer, and then kind of turns back for half a second, looking back at the village, no longer having the same life, more of a proverbial ghost town now. It's kind of stares at it for a solid second or two.
I'm sorry that it was you that had to see all of this. I do
Oh,
wish
it's
that at least you were older so that this wouldn't burn into your mind as much as it would now.
But if I don't remember, how can I make sure I don't make the same mistake? If I was sharper, I wouldn't have fallen. We wouldn't have fallen for their obvious poise.
You'll remember it, just not the terrible, not all the terrible feelings that come with it. Obviously, this should be something that could be used as a lesson, but not everything needs to be a lesson. Sometimes you just need, some things just need to be forgotten. This place will not be remembered. In the memory of everything that started this, and what happened can finally begin to fade away, as the agony of every tragedy should.
And I just imagine he said that he would cast a spell on me as Jonathan's about to interject.
Let me do this for you. Let me save you now.